More than 10 years since the last version was released, I'm so excited that I'm finally working on a new JellyCar game. Hi, I'm Wallaber, the creator of JellyCar. A quick little JellyCar history. So JellyCar originally was created in XNA and briefly showed up at GDC as a preview of the Xbox Creators Club. That version then eventually was released publicly on the App Store as an early App Store release, this time created in C# and OpenGL. That version changed a little bit from the XNA one by adding some playful menus that bounced around and you could interact with. Then JellyCar became a Disney product, and JellyCar 2 came out also on the App Stores, and then later on things like WiiWare, DSiWare, and even PSP Minis. That version added a level editor and some car customization and a few other modes. Then I got a chance to make JellyCar 3 as the first project for Creature Feep, which was the name of our studio inside Disney at the time. We went on later to make Where's My Water and a few other games, but JellyCar 3 was our first project. JellyCar 3 added way more customization to the cars, some ghost replays, and silly custom sound recording, as well as more thematic levels, and was out on iOS and Android. Now, 10 years have passed since JellyCar 3 came out. I'm now an independent game creator, and I'm so excited that I'm making a new JellyCar game. So I want to make some videos, maybe once a month or so, to post up here on YouTube to give an update on the project and how it's going, and encourage people to comment and come along and join in on the development of the game. So the goals for the new JellyCar game are pretty simple. I want to make the best JellyCar game, upgraded and available on modern platforms. Very simple. I don't want to change the formula too much, although I do want to refine it a little bit, both in terms of the gameplay, the structure, and the visuals. So that's the plan. As I mentioned, the original JellyCar games were all written in C++ and OpenGL, but since that time, I've switched almost entirely to using Unity for most of my game development. I'll be using Unity for this new JellyCar game. Unity is fantastic because it allows me to focus on the gameplay while I can get the game on many platforms, have good, input, window handling, audio systems, all the stuff you need to make a game, especially as I mentioned, and be able to bring it to lots of different platforms. Now, I would have originally been a little concerned about trying to make JellyCar specifically in Unity because of the soft body physics that JellyCar uses. Those are a custom physics system, right? They're not built in to any game engines. It's something I created for the first game and have been slowly upgrading and changing over time. And if I had to just port that over to kind of vanilla C# code in Unity, I would definitely be worried about the performance of the physics. Luckily, Unity now has a new kind of preview technology called ECS, which allows you to use C# but to make code that's designed for high performance compilation with the burst compiler and then multi-threading as well. And so it's a perfect fit for something like my physics engine for JellyCar. So that's where I got started. I started by taking my original Jelly physics engine and porting it over to Unity ECS. And while I was doing that, I decided to upgrade it a little bit and add some new features and things which I can talk about in a second. So once I got the basic physics working in Unity, I actually did 2 small game jam projects to give me an excuse to try creating some gameplay on top of the physics engine and to kind of kick the tires, so to speak. So I made a game called Balloon Out, which is kind of like this little arcade game, but with the soft body physics. And I also made a game called Wordzilla, which focused on shape changing, which of course the car in JellyCar can change its shape from the small version to the big version. So I knew I needed that feature, and that game jam project was a way to test that out. Those game jam projects went very well and helped me improve the physics, and then I was ready to start actually working on the JellyCar project. I mentioned some improvements to the core Jelly physics engine, so we can take a look at a few of those real quick. We have triggers. Amazingly, previous JellyCar games never had triggers, just like air volumes or areas that you could go inside and the game would know you're inside them. Raycasts. We never actually had a way in the old Jelly physics system to shoot a line through the world and see what it intersects. We have that now, so I can do things like tripwires and other effects. And simple particles. This is something that I think will be pretty cool. I have these really simplified particles that I can simulate now that will collide and interact with the main soft body objects in the physics engine. So I think we can make some interesting levels that have some particles and fountains or simple fluids or things like that. I've also got a few new things like joints so I can weld things together. Before the original JellyCar, the way the tires attached to the car was like one-off code. This is now something that's, throughout the engine, so we can pin things together, make axles and hinges and things easily. Also, the car in JellyCar changes shape, right? It goes from the small version to the big version. That was also kind of one-off code in all the previous JellyCar games. Now it's built in, so any object I create in the engine, I can give it multiple shapes and then transition between those shapes. So I think we can do some fun level design with that. Also, I wanted to make the visuals upgraded this time, so I've added some support for visual subdivision. So, you know, the objects in JellyCar are made out of individual points that make up a shape. And you can't have too many of those, right? Or it gets too complex. So when I make those into visuals now, I can actually subdivide those shapes and kind of smooth them out. Okay, so that's the features in the new physics engine. The next thing I did was actually got the car into the game and had to tune all those parameters. I actually had a MIDI device like this, and I wrote up some code so that I could adjust a bunch of parameters of the physics by turning these knobs and sliders. So while I was playing the game, I could adjust all these values. The game has a lot of values that control how it feels, right? How much air is in the tires? How tight are the springs? What are all the physics forces? What's the gravity? All those things. So I got the car working pretty well. It's a little bit squishier than the previous games, but I think that makes it even more playful and fun. And then I moved on to implementing some of the other obvious things you need in JellyCar, like the abilities. So the grow shrink ability, of course, and then you have the balloon, sticky tires, and a new one for this game, the rocket. So if you've played something like Rocket League, this will be familiar, where you can tilt the car and then you can fly around with little bursts of rocket. And my plan for this version of the game is to unify all those power-ups. So the grow power-up used to be global. Every level you could tap the car or press a button and grow and shrink the car. Now that's going to be an ability just like all the others that you have to find a pickup for in the levels. So I like that unification, and I think it will help with level design as well, because I can make levels where you don't have the grow ability or you only have it for certain portions of the level. Another big change I'm planning this time is the structure of the game. So previous JellyCars, you basically had a menu and you would pick like easy levels and then there'd be a bunch of levels. You pick medium levels, a bunch of levels. This time I'm planning on having worlds. So a little bit like a classic Mario game or something, where you have an actual like environment that is the way you get to the individual levels, and that is a world. So I think that'll give the game a little bit more theme and a little bit more exploration compared to previous versions. So I'm excited about that. So I've got that going, and otherwise I've been making progress on the production of the game. So I've got maybe a dozen levels or so created so far, a bunch of levels that don't use any power-ups at all, and then a few that focus on the grow and shrink power-up. And I'm going to be kind of naturally progressing like that, making some balloon levels and making some sticky tire levels, making some rocket levels as I go. The current plan for the level design is that the main exit and the secret exit, which was something introduced in JellyCar 3, will return for this new JellyCar game. So every level has a main exit that you're trying to get to, but also has a secret exit hidden somewhere. So that gives the levels a little more replayability as well. What else have I done? Sounds. JellyCar, of course, is definitely known for its sounds. They sound like this. Right. So I did a recording session, and I've got the first pass to sounds in the game now, so it's starting to feel like a real JellyCar game. On the audio front, I also have exciting news, which is that the composer, Matt McCarthy, who created all the music that you remember from JellyCar, JellyCar 2, and JellyCar 3, is back on board and is going to be making new music for the new JellyCar. In fact, he recently sent me the very first rough draft of the very first song composed for the new one. Let's listen to a little clip. Pretty exciting, right? I know. We'll share more in the future. Yeah, so that's where we're at right now. Up next, improve visuals. I really want this JellyCar to feel like a living flipbook, like you're playing a flipbook that someone is actively flipping the pages of. In future dev streams, I'm going to be working on the shaders and visual effects to try and make that look as best I can. We also need to get in some great menus. I've always felt like the menus in JellyCar games were fun and playful, and I want to make sure we have that this time. Of course, car customization is a big one that I really liked in JellyCar 3, so I would definitely want to bring that back. And of course, we got to make a ton more levels, get that music in, and start seeing it come together as a full JellyCar game. So hopefully this was a nice update and you're excited as I am about the new JellyCar project. If you're interested, you of course can follow here on YouTube. You can drop by my Twitch channel. I stream a couple times a week working on the game. I just do the development live on Twitch, and I love having people come by and ask questions and participate in the development of the game. And of course, otherwise, feel free to drop by social media. I've been posting about the game on Twitter and TikTok. It seems like all the JellyCar fans are currently on TikTok because The response on Twitter has been great, but the response on TikTok, holy cow. So thanks everyone who has discovered the game and responded and added a comment. TikTok in particular, I really appreciate it. I'm very glad I took a chance on posting there. And of course, you can just go to jellycargame.com and sign up for the mailing list, which I will only send out emails when I announce the platforms and the release and the actual game comes out. So thanks again, and I'll be back in a month or so with the next update.